The basketball has evolved quite a bit over the years. When the game of basketball was invented in 1891, the game was played with an old-fashioned soccer ball. In 1894, the first Spalding basketball was created, which had laces similar to that of an American football. In 1937, the NBL introduced a new ball with the laces removed for the sake of better dribbling. In the 1950s, the color of the ball was changed to orange, that way the brown ball no longer blended in with the brown court. In 1967, the ABA put their own spin on the ball and introduced a red, white, and blue color scheme. In 1984, the NBA finally introduced the ball we know today, the Larry O'Brien official game ball. In 2006, the NBA tried a synthetic microfiber basketball, but after a couple months of performance issues and players complaining about damaged fingertips, the league decided to scrap the ball and return to classic leather. And in this upcoming 2021 to 2022 season, the league will now be switching to Wilson balls instead of Spalding, although the leather and the design will basically be the same. In summary, it's pretty clear that in both the NBA and in daily life, that having quality balls is very important. And that's why today's video is brought to you by Manscaped, the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Manscaped was cool enough to hook me up with their all-in-one performance package. Included in here is the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer. The trimmer has a super smart cordless charging system. Also included are things like the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and the Crop Reviver ball toner spray. For a limited time, you can get all of this plus 2 free gifts, the Shed travel bag and the Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs. Go to manscaped.com today to get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use the promo code ARNET at checkout. There are 3 major American sports leagues where the playoff matchups are a best-of-7 series. In the history of the NHL, 4 teams have come back from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. And in the history of Major League Baseball, just 1 team has come back from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. The NBA is the only major North American sport where a team has never come back from a 3-0 deficit to win a series. But 3 teams did come very, very close. The first instance was in the 1951 NBA Finals, where the New York Knicks charged back to tie the series at 3 games before the Rochester Royals finally closed it out in the 7th game, with a final score of 79-75. The second instance was in the second round of the 1994 playoffs when the Utah Jazz narrowly defeated the Denver Nuggets in the 7th game with a final score of 91-81. The craziest part is how the Nuggets almost made history for the second straight playoff series, as they had just defeated the first-seeded Seattle Supersonics as an 8th seed, which was the first time an 8th seed had ever defeated a first seed in the playoffs. The fact that they nearly followed that up with the first 3-0 comeback in league history is certainly a little-known fact. The third instance was the first round of the 2003 playoffs, where the Blazers stormed back to tie the series at 3 games apiece before Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks closed it out in a 7th game. A total of 23 players have won the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year, but only 2 of those players have won that award and yet never received a single All-Star selection. Can you guess either of those players? They are Michael Cooper in 1987 and Marcus Camby in 2007. Throughout the years, many NBA legends have delivered incredible performances on Christmas Day, but the greatest performance of them all may have been from one of the more underrated legends of league history. On December 25, 1984, Bernard King dropped a whopping 60 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists on 72.4 true shooting percentage. It's still the most points ever scored by a player on a Christmas Day game. Despite his historically dominant and efficient performance, his Knicks still lost the game to the New Jersey Nets 120-114. Speaking of high-scoring losses, Wilt Chamberlain holds the record for the most points ever scored in a losing effort when he scored 78 points and added 43 rebounds in 1961. The victor was the Lakers with a score of 151-147, and they were led by Elgin Baylor, who put up 63 points and 31 rebounds of his own. For a large portion of NBA history, offensive fouls were not considered as personal fouls, which means a player could be hit with a charging foul and it wouldn't contribute towards his 6 personal fouls for disqualification. I was literally searching for hours trying to figure out when this rule changed, but I couldn't find a definitive answer. So let me know in the comments if you know the answer. I do know that this rule was in place as late as the 1963 NBA Finals, since I was just watching that series a couple days ago. It begs the question, can you imagine an even more violent version of a prime Shaquille O'Neal if that rule had never been changed? It's certainly an interesting aspect to consider. After the Shaquille O'Neal trade in 2004, Kobe Bryant and Caron Butler were teammates in Los Angeles for the 04-05 season. Butler was not only a quality player, but Kobe actually said that Butler became one of his best friends throughout his career. The two teammates were doing intense workouts together when Kobe discovered that Butler was drinking Mountain Dew to quench his thirst. Kobe was very disappointed and told him that he needed to stop drinking it. According to Butler, he tried, but this wasn't something he simply drank occasionally, but it was a very real addiction, an addiction that he began hiding from Kobe. When players were resting and drinking Gatorade on the bench, Butler would quietly tell staff members to sneak into the locker room and secretly put Mountain Dew into his Gatorade cup. He was apparently never caught by Kobe drinking Mountain Dew during games. One can only imagine the kind of attitude that would have triggered from the Mamba. Wilt Chamberlain is probably the greatest rebounder in NBA history, which certainly isn't a hot take considering the fact that he has 11 rebounding titles, snagged a record 55 rebounds against Bill Russell, and averaged as high as 27.2 rebounds per game over the course of a season. If those stats don't communicate the dominance of his rebounding abilities, then consider this. Over the course of his career, Wilt Chamberlain accumulated more rebounds than Dwayne Wade, Kevin Durant, and Larry Bird have accumulated points. Only 12 players in NBA history have scored at least 50 points in consecutive basketball games, and these are 11 of the 12 players on this list. Any guesses on who the 12th player is? It's the somewhat underrated and the underappreciated scoring forward, Antawn Jamison. It's one thing to score back-to-back 50-point games, but it's another thing entirely to do it in the playoffs when the games mattered most. Only one player has scored back-to-back 50-point games in the playoffs. Any guesses on who that one player is? Think underrated with this one. Like almost no one ever talks about this guy. That's right, you guessed it, it's Michael Jordan. Which one of these facts was the most interesting, and do you have any new facts to share with the rest of us? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.